Hey, yo kids, what's going on? Y'all know what time it is, man. It's another edition of Space Bucket Growing with Drewski. I'm your host, Drewski. And, we got another new episode coming in. A lot has happened in the past few days. I want to give you guys an update on Thinkerbell's Revenge, all that's going on, and the happenings for the weekend. We got a lot of stuff going down. So, in that note, we're going to start this off with a nice little ad from Mostly Safe. Space buckets are the easiest intro into cannabis. At Mostly Safe Microgrow, the artisan space buckets make it even easier. Each space bucket comes equipped with Rolladero UFO LEDs, reflective lining, 220 CFM intake and exhaust fans, plus power array. A complete grow tent and a 12-inch footprint with an average yield of 2 ounces or more. Head to mostlysafe8.com for their artisan space buckets and how-to guides, or check them out on Etsy. Mostly Safe Microgrow, 2 ounces plus. And we're not getting 2 ounces. That's going to be apparent, and I'll tell you guys why. So, on the last podcast, I gave you guys an update, and I let you guys know that we have a new UFO grow light. It's a Grow Star 300 watt cob UFO. So it's got a cob LED in the middle and then red blue LEDs surrounding it. Now, upping that wattage from 180 to 300, I give you 120 extra watts. And then I added the extra 100 watt light spacer because I finally got a 12 volt plug that will not overheat, burn, damage, or short out the LED lights. So, we added that. So, we added 220 extra watts of light. What proceeded to happen was this. Day 1. Everything was fine. Day 2 and 3, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? I've watered my plant. I don't know what the hell's happening. Now, I switched up to a gallon. And that didn't seem to help at all. So, I didn't realize that she was drinking up all her water, in the process of receiving more light, more heat. You know how that stuff goes. It's like in the summertime in Vegas. Like one day it's cool and then the next day it's 120. You've been outside all day and 2 more seconds and you pass out. Everybody's done it. I've done it a few times. Stacks can tell you all the stories about me passing out at the studio. It was kind of funny. But I didn't have her drinking enough water. So now, I got her slurping down a little bit over a gallon, maybe a gallon and a half. Making sure there's plenty of runoff. And, when I do that, I go from there. That's just regular water. When I newt feed, I'm sticking to the gallon just so she gets fed. Now, problem. And it might not be a problem, if it goes fairly well. I still have to newt feed. And in newt feeding, especially with a good chunk of her gone, what's going to happen from this point is the question. Am I going to get newt burn? Am I going to have to try to cut down a teaspoon into a half teaspoon or a quarter teaspoon? This is the part that's going to be trial and error. At this portion of the grow, she's fine. Even with the extensive damage, the other flowers have seemed to absorb all the excess nutrients that were on the parts of the plant that were dying off. And once I actually cut off what was cut off, it was fairly apparent that one of the lower branches that would have been one of the Christmas trees. If I would have let it grow, it would have been on the lower portion, bringing other things upward. I don't know how to describe it. It really took from the bottom and put everything towards the top, but not necessarily the top. On mine, since this is a micro grow and I used a screen of green and it's manipulated and curved and it looks like something that if you saw it from the bottom up should be in a Harry Potter novel. There are really long flowers on here, and it's all coming from like the mid-range. The top isn't as large, but I also manipulated everything to grow really large flowers in a compact space. So, that being said, the plant's not standing as tall as the space bucket represents, one. And that's just because of spacing for the lights. Having a 300 watt cob UFO, in a 12-inch footprint, it's really easy to burn the shit or dehydrate your plants if you don't, have the proper spacing and you're not watering properly. So today's episode is a reminder to make sure when you're upgrading your lighting, if you're going from a low power flower lighting to a low power veg lighting to high power flower lighting, to make sure you also increase your water in your watering schedule. Increase the amount of water that you are feeding your cannabis plant, and you should be fine. With that, do not increase. Actually, I'm not going to give you any solid on that because I haven't done it yet. But I would imagine you might want to slightly increase your nutrient feed as well when you upgrade your lighting, because she is drinking more and absorbing more water and putting those nutrients to use and using more to generate more. So I would imagine that you would, like you would slightly increase your water intake, you're going to slightly increase your nutrients to water mixture on that intake as well. I'm going to stick with a gallon. I'm going to stick with the recommended dosage for a gallon, but then when I water feed, she will get extra. Just so she retains all that in the soil, and then the next couple will be like the flush out, and then she'll get some more newts, and then she'll get flushed out again. Now that we're almost daily water feeding, except for the fact that I'm using so much water, and don't worry about, flooding and all that good stuff and her roots getting choked up. She's got plenty of breathing room in there. In her 3-gallon smart pot. I'm using smart pots on purpose. I like the way they breathe. I like the way, the roots show you what's going on in that smart pot. Like if they're dripping all the way down to the bottom because of the water and how you got it all set up. And then when you bring everything out, you can see where everything went. It's a pretty cool scene inside the soil of a space bucket micro grow after you've got done harvesting. It's pretty neat. But as for this grow, I wonder what's going to happen with nutrients. And I've said it before. I'm just reiterating this point so I can actually further speak on it. The reason why I say that, there's less plant to feed. And in that case, I'm going to stick with the regular amount of nutrients because of what I said earlier, a few seconds ago, lighting. The lighting has been upgraded significantly. And in that, we've got to make changes to everything else that's going to go on in there too. So the rest of the flowers that are left need nutrients. That's just something that's going to have to happen. So, I'm sticking with the gallon feed mix, and I'm going to feed that in. And then, the next day I'll add more water, just to add more water, but not necessarily more nutrients. Just to see how that's going to go, during this healing process and this new growth process as well. And I don't think there's going to be any more new growth. I think everything else is just going to fatten up and mature, fatten up tremendously more than the 180 watt plus 100 watt light spacer. So we did a big upgrade, and, it was just a learning experience that had to happen. It was one of those things now that you know, or now that I know, when you're doing your grow, whether it be in a tent, you've got a room, you're doing, stealth micro grows, or if you're just doing micro grows just to do them, but in a tent or anything like that. Once you upgrade your lighting learning experience, upgrade your water intake. And I'd imagine upgrade the nutrients. Just for the fact that the more powerful of a light, the more and more dense, your flower presentation is going to be. Now I was having a conversation earlier with somebody that is in the community who happens to know a few people that I'm running into nowadays. And, it's kind of funny because we've known each other since 1994. And, we've been going back and forth, showing each other pictures of our grows and things we've been doing. And, the lighting he uses is, he uses HPS lighting, and I'm not mad if you're using the high pressure sodium, but I'm looking at your pictures of the buds, and I'm looking at my buds, and mine just seem fatter. Yours have more trikes, mine are bigger, but yours are also at harvest time, and it's time to pick those suckers up and get them ready to go. Not mad at that at all. Though, got another picture that's up here at harvest. And yes, your trichome development is super frosty, but it's a small nug, maybe a gram. I'm going to call that a gram. Looks really flavorful, but it's small. Where mine are looking flavorful and fat. And that's just a testament to, your lighting situation that you're going to use. I am not hating on anybody's lighting situation. Let me tell you that now. What I am doing is comparing, LED growing on one plant versus maybe all that concentrated light, your high pressure sodiums and what have you, on multiple plants. Remember, I'm micro growing, so I'm trying to get my flowers as dense and as big as possible in a small space, using minimal equipment, but minimal high powered equipment. I'm not throwing a thou wow in a space bucket, but I do and am willing to have 500 watts on a space bucket. 500 watts on a single plant in a micro grow. I can almost tell you just from my first run and without all that lighting, you're going to pull 2.5 ounces. That's almost a given. that's leaving it as a Christmas tree. Imagine you get and you take the time to keep it in veg. You incorporate topping, and then with topping, you do low stress training. And then with low stress training, you do more topping. You're going to get a nice max out of that in a smaller environment. So, I've seen, like, personally, how many plants fit under a thou wow HPS. I can't say it's the most efficient of lighting per plant. I believe there's a lot of wasted light in that situation. And that's another thing I like about space bucket growing is all the light that you have in your space bucket. Now, if you built your own LED light spacers, awesome. If you got them from Mostly Safe, awesome. And I have 2 of them. So surrounding my plant is 200 watts of LED light. I could probably put a regular lid on that, leave the fans running, put the LED lights on the light timer schedule, and let her finish out. But it'd only be a 20 watt upgrade from one of the UFO lamps that I currently possess. Then we have the upgrade to the 300. So you add 300 more watts. I went from a 180 to a 300. You can imagine what your flower development is going to go through. And me looking at it personally, the flowers have gotten fatter. They've developed more in bulk from the previous grow on the 130, on the 180 watt. And nothing bad about Apollo Horticulture. I love that lamp. To have the 180 as my veg lamp and the 300 cob as my flower lamp, I'm not complaining. To have this mid flower for the finish, I think it was perfect timing. There were just mistakes made on my portion of this grow. And that was something that I really had to embrace and see now that there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration when you're making the decision to do drastic things like add more lighting and upgrade your system. You got to be careful of dehydration. So that's one thing. Now, I'm still, you know what? We're going to pay some bills first. And then I'm going to get into cob LED combinations. Baked Boys Club is a lifestyle clothing brand inspired by the new movement. Since 2016, we've been throwing around the phrase baked life. This is what we are about. That feeling you get when you are high. Continuously breaking the mold between the ones who are afraid to let everyone know who they really are and the ones who just don't care. The relaxed and carefree. Check out our site, www.bakedboysclub.com, and join the Baked Boys Club. Be yourself, get baked, and enjoy life. Okay, so I'm pulling up the specs for you guys to listen to, I guess, on this podcast here. And if you look up the Grow Star UFO LED Grow Light 300 watt, you're going to see exactly what I have and what I'm working with. So it's a full spectrum with Creed Cobb, a new generation UFO LED Grow Light. Includes UV in infrared and a 3000K Cree Cob high lumen grow light. So this is to ensure higher light penetration. So layman's terms, you know, when you feel the sun in your skin, light penetration. There you go. Now, my bad for the pause. This light right here, you guys, actually, it's still kind of weird to me because, like, the pattern that they have on Amazon versus the pattern that you're going to get when you actually see it. And once again, you guys, please do not look directly into your UFO LED light. That is one of those things that will, you'll hurt it. You're going to hurt for a hot second. But with LEDs, you can replace your typical high pressure sodium or HID grow light with the 300 watt UFO LED lamp and only pull 108 watts, plus or minus 10%. There's a light switch. And the warranty on this thing is crazy. 2-year warranty, 30 day satisfaction if the light had a problem. 100% money back guarantee, I'm telling you. Like I said, my experience with this light right now is going fairly well. I like how it works. And you guys, this light right here, dude, $70. $70 might sound ridiculous for an LED light, but $70 is so worth it if you're microgrowing. Now, the recommended grow tent size is a 2.5 by 2.5. So your max coverage is going to be 3 by 3. Dog. You can get a lot done in there, but you can really focus this on one plant and get the most out of that one plant. And that's what we're doing over here. So there are a few reviews on this light. Wow. This guy had a light. Everything didn't work out. He hit customer service. They flipped him a new one like they said they would, and he ordered 2 more. So it's 5 stars. Somebody else got the 150, 5-star. Looking at this guy's tomato grow, and his tomatoes look really good for such a small plant. It's got some really nice sized tomatoes. So okay, so the Cree Cob is 60 watts, and then everything else boosts up and makes up the rest of the lighting. Now, from what I'm reading, since this has the cob it has, it might be recommended that you want to use this for veg instead of flower. but going from no cob to Cree-cob and UFOs, LEDs, I really don't see why I would complain about the cob lighting. So, LED growing, to me, the better way to go. I have done CFL and then upgraded to LED. Thank you, mostly safe. And my grow experience so far, 4th actual run, 2nd successful grow. I'm gonna give the rest of this a success. I know what I'm doing now. You know, you got to make mistakes to learn. I've learned a lot. 4 runs, 2 successes. So I'm breaking even. When you break even, you can look at it like this. You had 2 F's and went to 2 A's. I think you broke the boat. I think you did well, son. Or daughter. Whoever's listening. Ladies and gentlemen. Space Bucket Growing with Drewski. I wanted to give y'all a quick update of everything that's been going on with Thinkerbell's Revenge. Make sure you guys are following on Instagram at Elevated Media LLC. You guys listening to this on YouTube, make sure, I need you guys to hit that YouTube subscribe button. That's serious. If you're listening to this on the Spreaker network, I need you guys to hit that subscribe button. Get the Spreaker app if it asks you to download it. Make a profile. I'll interact. I see that you guys leave comments. I love it. Keep it going. For those of you on iHeartRadio, thank you for listening. For those of you on Google Play Music, thank you for listening. For those of you on Stitcher Podcast, thank you for listening. This is something that it came along by accident, and I'm glad it did, because it gives me a chance to let new growers know that there will be success one day in your grow. And then from there point on, you got to look at everything that was a failure as a learning opportunity. If you're not looking at everything that you do in your grow as a learning opportunity, you're not succeeding as a cultivator. You haven't learned the green thumb side of things, is what I'm going to call it. You know, you haven't gotten in there and saw what happens when you have nutrient problems. You haven't seen what happens when you have dehydration problems. You haven't seen what happens when you have a heat wave hit all your plants at once, all of them. And you're not taking in any of those failures and then learning and remixing how you do things. You're not learning as a cultivator. And, you know, I want you guys to see that through mistakes, you've got to learn what to do to fix things. And, this is one of those forums. So you guys, I want to interact with you guys a little bit more. We've got over 2,000 streams on this podcast, and I need those numbers to represent the people listening to this podcast. So hit that subscribe button, you guys. This is Drewski, Space Bucket Growing with Drewski. I'm going to take some hits of this nice and gassy cone here, and last one, Fatty's Premium Papers. This is for the love, you guys. Rolling a joint? Roll with Fatty's Premium Papers. Made with run-resistant hemp fibers. These are all natural and super smooth burning papers. They also come with crutches in the pack. So if you're going to roll a joint, roll a fatty. And remember, they're based out of Reno, Nevada. So us here over at the Elevated Lifestyle offices support Fatty's Premium Papers. Roll a fatty.